Ladies and gentlemen, children of the interwebs out there, Sebastian Envy, the strong style nerd, strong style cinephile, and Crisis on Infinite Earths. Well, there's a saying. How's it go? Don't be sad that something is over. Be happy that it happened. Is that the outlook we need to have for the Crisis? Let us geek about that for a scant few minutes. Now, the CW aired the final two parts of the Crisis back-to-back on Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow. It's good to see the Legends back doing their thing. And of course, Sarah Lance in the driver's seat leading the charge and possibly looking at things, leading the charge going forth in various crossovers and hero get-togethers. Then the end of part 3 found the Paragons, including Paragon by way of shenanigans Lex Luthor, at the vanishing point, the fallout of the Anti-Monitor's attack on the Wave Rider that wipes out everything and everyone else. A Ryan Choi voiceover brings us up to speed on what the various Paragons have been doing to pass the time, training, meditating, etc. Now, the Flash is apparently missing, and Ryan and Lex are trying to work together to retrofit Time Master technology to possibly find a way out. Needless to say, doesn't exactly work. The Flash shows up again, and we find out that he had actually disappeared to venture into the Speed Force to find a way out. He thought he had only been gone for minutes. He'd apparently been gone for months, as it's been several months that they've been stuck here in the Vanishing Point. Obviously, since Ryan Choi has a beard that makes him look less like a child. Now, on Lian Yu, Oliver's meeting with Jim Corrigan, the old Spectre, who tells Oliver that everything he's ever done has led him to this moment in time and this fight. Oliver, or maybe we should call him Spectiver, has the green cloak of Spectreness on, and he looks no less a hobo than he did in the pictures they released for this episode. Now, Corrigan tells Oliver it's time to go gather his friends, so off Ollie goes to the Vanishing Point, shocking his friends with what he has become. He uses a finger touch on Barry to help him unlock his potential and be able to carry his team out of the Vanishing Point by way of the Speed Force. Now, Oliver suggests that the team splits up. A few go to Maltus and talk to a pre-monitor Mar-Novu to stop him from enacting his time travel exploration plan. This test run is going to expose him to both antimatter and the anti-monitor. The anti-monitor attacks during the super speed escape, causing some of the team to get scattered in the Speed Force. Barry again meets with Oliver, who tells Barry he has to find the others. Now, they are connected by memories and shared experiences and that sort of thing. So he basically tells him to use that as like a guide. Now, as Barry is zipping around to familiar places that we've seen in Elseworlds and Invasion crossovers, trying to find people, he runs into the Ezra Miller DCEU Flash. Totally surprised me that they could include him, and Ezra was actually on set and not just a green screen stand-in type of thing. Now, it looked that way kind of at first, but apparently there was behind-the-scenes stuff, and I think maybe even Ezra posting on social media that he was actually on set up in Canada at Star Labs for the scene. Now, I hate Ezra's version of Barry. His voice, his mannerisms, his bug eyes, I'm just not a fan. But I am a fan of any sort of crossover type of stuff going on. So from that standpoint, I thought it was, decently cool. Makes you wonder about the whole embargo thing, whether there truly is one, and if there is, why there is at all. We all know that the embargo, or at least rumors of the embargo, was reasons why they could use Suicide Squad before that movie was coming out, why they could use Deathstroke because of Batman vs. Superman, and maybe the plans for Justice League or movies beyond that. The Batman originally was supposed to have like Deathstroke in it as the villain, and just their thought that people can't differentiate between the two or would be confused. But again, we have like Superman on small screen, we have Superman on the big screen, we have Flash on the small screen, we have Flash on the big screen. It's stupid mentality. I'm hoping the embargo is not a thing, but who knows? I mean, it's always such a hotly debated topic, but it's a debate for another day. Now, Supergirl, Ryan, and Lex end up on the Monitor's planet, and of course, Lex double-crosses the heroes and reveals that he used the Book of Destiny to give himself superpowers. As Ryan tries to talk down the Monitor, Lex and Supergirl do battle, and they do that stupid, like, slow-mo. They send up a bunch of sparks, like this jumpy, flying sort of fight thing that Kara often does. And I don't understand it, why they do it that way. I think it's dumb, it looks dumb, but it is, what it is. As things finally calm down a little bit, Flash zips in and grabs them and takes them to the dawn of time in the antimatter universe. Oliver tells them that the 8 of them may not be enough to beat the Monitor, but they can buy time for Oliver to do his thing. His thing is rebooting the universe. Now, they're fighting the Anti-Monitor. Again, like, things are still the same, because even though they went back to stop the Monitor from doing his thing, the Anti-Monitor points out that there's a multiverse of, Mar-Novus. So he can just, go to the next one and have him do the same thing, or just wait for him to do the same thing. So Anti-Monitor is saying he's inevitable, basically. But the Paragons launch into battle, and we see the rock quarry battle finally happen that we've seen, images and stuff from the trailer with the team gathered in the rock quarry. And we see them swinging around the air, flailing at the shadow demons. The battle was not as good as it could be, though. I mean, let's be real about that. Just the, nameless, faceless goon army that they have to battle. It's old. It's just, I mean, I guess it's the standard for these types of movies and programs and stuff like that. But it just didn't look all that well at all. It's just the way it was handled. But I mean, it's what we got to work with. So, but as the battle with the shadow demons goes on, Oliver's battle with the Monitor also goes on. Oliver expels energy into the sky, which seemingly vaporizes the Anti-Monitor and restarts the universe. Oliver dies again, and while it was sad, I think it would have been a lot more of a gut punch had this been the first and only time that he died, rather than the second. But it was still a good death, even with Oliver's corny, "You have failed this universe," line. The final part starts with us getting caught up with the new status quo, as our Paragons are as well. They are the only ones who remember things used to be different. Nakara finds this out the hard way as she's called to a Nobel Peace Prize ceremony where the honoree is none other than Lex flippin' Luthor. Kara learns that for whatever reason, in this new reality, that Luthor is a good guy who even is the boss of the DEO. John Jones remembers things as well, and as Kara and him catch up at the DEO, their attention is taken away by the Weather Witch, who's attacking National City. Flash shows up to help deal with her, and after some confusion, they learn that they're on the same Earth. This is punctuated by Marv Wolfman, who shows up to get their autographs. We all know who Marv Wolfman is. It was cool to see that cameo happen. Back in Central City, city workers find Nash laid out in the same place that he was sucked into the Anti-Monitor's base. We find Sarah rattled as can be, not remembering how she got to Star City. She touches base with Ray, who has no memory of things, as they happen, but he gets a brain dump from John and gets caught up. Sarah ventures to the bunker, hoping Oliver's back, but he isn't. Diggle feels terrible about this, thinking he has failed his surrogate brother not once, but twice. We also find out that, of course, Renee and Dinah, and I'm assuming Diggle, were given the brain dump from John as well. He also uses his magic brain dump fingers on Caitlin, as well as Nash, who was devastated to learn his part in all of this. Barry and Kara show up at the bunker and are happy to see everyone is on this Earth, except, of course, Oliver. So Sarah kind of throws a wet blanket on the happy heroes as they arrive in the bunker. Before they can wallow in that particular bit of misery, they learn that the city is under attack by a giant Bebo. Supergirl, Flash, Adam, and Mick, who's doing a Rebecca Silver book signing in Star City, come together to stop Bebo, but it doesn't work. Turns out he's not really Bebo. It's an illusion of sorts. Batwoman shows up and realizes that it's a diversion. Turns out Sargon the Sorcerer is robbing a bank, but he gets punched out and taken down by Sarah pretty quickly. Now later, Nash interrupts the post-Bebo happy celebration to tell them that he's reading antimatter. Anti-Monitor is not really gone, turns out. Barry catches up with Sarah and the two talk about Oliver, their losses, and Sarah feeling that her last connection to her old life is gone. Their chat is interrupted by shadow demons who are back. Figuring the Paragons are being hunted, Sarah goes to rescue Ryan Choi. In the bunker, the team comes up with a plan to defeat the Anti-Monitor. They'll devise a plot-convenient piece of tech to make him shrink forever into the microverse. More shadow demons show up, and we got our requisite heroes fighting nameless baddie army scene. We also get a very, very corny "for Oliver" bit, and then the fight. More on my disappointment with this later. At Star Labs, Black Lightning shows up to help with the shadow demons as the device is built. Now back in the battle, the Anti-Monitor grows super huge and battles the heroes, but in the end, he gets hit with the shrink bomb and he gets defeated. The day is saved. In the aftermath, we get word from the president doing an address to the nation about things. She talks about the world threat, Oliver's sacrifice, and we get a very, again, super corny, moment of silence scene, which, oh God, it was just, the way it was handled, it was just so corny, so dumb. We also find out that baby Sarah is back. She lives also, along with JJ. More on my thoughts on JJ later, considering what's going to happen in the future, or at least what they've talked about with the Green Arrow spinoff with Mia. We also find out that Lois and Clark have not just a son, but have sons. So will this tie into their new TV show? I guess we'll find out. Then we have a voiceover, which Oliver kind of repeats the Monitor's voiceover on the outset of the crisis. And we see a new multiverse, and we see glimpses of other Earths. One of note, of course, is Earth 2, which is apparently inhabited by Stargirl from the new show. Now the heroes gather to say a farewell to Oliver. Of course, one of the cool things about it was the very end, and the Justice League was like a cool moment with Black Lightning kind of the fact that he's new to this and not realizing that, yeah, world-threatening stuff happens all the time.
Why do we even need it? I mean, how often does the world almost come to an end? Oh, it's like that.
Don't worry, I was in your kid last year.
We also get one last Easter egg with a shot on an empty like monkey cage tagged Gleek, and the old school Super Friends theme playing with an exterior shot of the old Star Labs building warehouse thingy, which is obviously going to become the Hall of Justice. I mean, it's the most blatant, obvious Easter egg visual that they can possibly come up with. But I love it. I'm here for it. That's our Justice League, and hopefully we'll see them kind of go forth. And in that formal context, maybe they'll get a formal name drop at some point, maybe in the next crossover. But of course, the next crossover, we're all thinking that it's going to be much smaller scale, much more intimate, more. I mean, Elseworlds was kind of like a smaller one as far as like the main characters kind of leading the, driving the narrative. But I'm wondering if the next year's crossover is going to be even like smaller than that. So all in all, Crisis was fairly cool. I mean, you kind of see where they were kind of running out of steam. In these last two parts, kind of had to pad things. Like I said, part 4 was very, very fillery to kind of pad things out for part 5. I really think this actually could have been a 4-part crossover. It's cool that it was a 5-part, truly all the shows, as opposed to like Invasion, which was like billed as like a 3-part, but only involved 2 shows, and like the end, no, it was a 4-part. Billed as a 4-part series, but it only actually involved 3 shows and like 5 minutes of Supergirl. So this one was truly a 5-part series across all the shows, but I think it could have been a 4-part series. But it's cool. I'm a sucker for crossovers. I love that it happened. The fact that they tried this endeavor. I mean, this is it had to be one of the most biggest logistically difficult things that was done, and then that was attempted, and that was accomplished in the history of television. I gotta think that the Crisis kind of sets that bar. Overall, happy it happened. Like I said, disappointed about some things. The fact that we, in 5 parts, still did not get a Green Lantern, a Diggle Green Lantern. That was kind of like, I mean, they show the footage from the movie as they were kind of showing the other Earths. And I'm wondering, like, is the multiverse back and the heroes of Earth Prime just don't know it yet? Are they ever going to know? Are we ever going to touch the multiverse again? Or are we going to keep things clean and simple with everybody on Earth 1? Really wondering about that. But like I said, they did not show a Diggle Green Lantern. All they had to do was just one little, if they were going to show that flying scene from the Green Lantern movie, they could have done something, some CG shenanigans to just put David Ramsey's face somewhere in there just to show that he was a Green Lantern. It just, there's no more Arrow. There's 5 parts of Crisis, and we got no Diggle Lantern. That is so disappointing. So disappointing. That's the word I got for disappointing. I'm so disappointed by that. That was one of my letdowns for Crisis. And I guess, I mean, I said it even before doing videos leading up to the Crisis, that maybe I'm setting myself up for disappointment in this regard. But still, it's like, how can you know the fans want it? How could you not take like a 5-second flyby shot to just, all in all, Crisis, I'd give it a solid, like, on the whole, I give it a good 8 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. I mean, there's like a lot, there's nostalgia, there were Easter eggs. You had Marv Wolfman make an appearance. We all know what a prolific comic book writer and creator he's been, and to have him like actually on screen interacting with some of the people he's written, that's got to be cool as a writer. I would love that myself. So that was cool. So there's a lot of Easter eggs and callbacks and throwbacks and things that they had over the course of the crossover. But from a true narrative standpoint, from story structure, there's some good things and there's some letdowns. From costume choices with like Oliver as a Spectre, some good things and some letdowns. So to just It'd be interesting to see how the worlds go forth, how the shows go forth, because everything's on Earth Prime. And so I'm really curious as to how those things shake out. But it was cool that it happened. I'm, of course, sad that it's over. It was a huge thing with permanent repercussions and ramifications. So I'm glad that they did that. But I'm hoping that they actually stick to this, keep going forward with it, and try different stuff. Try to be narratively different, try to be different with the formula, but it remains to be seen how things truly shake out in the long run and how we can judge the impact, the importance of Crisis. We're still in the moment. We really can't decide how big of an impact it had on the Arrowverse. It's probably gonna take us till like next season to really be able to look back and see just the impact of Crisis. So I'm anxious to kind of like do some thinking and some pondering at that point a year from now on the impact of Crisis. But it was cool. Glad it happened. I'll probably watch, all 5 parts multiple times, as I had done the first 3 parts, as well as binging the other crossovers. I really got to do a video on kind of like ranking the crossovers, and I will get to that. It's going to take a bit, but I will get to that soon. But those are some of my thoughts, scattered as they always are sometimes. What do you guys out there think? Let me know in the comments below. Social media's there. Talk to me there. Talk to me here. Talk to me about Crisis. The new episodes of our favorite Arrowverse shows are going to start kicking up again. What do you think is going to happen with those? Meantime, Us Geek.